Hope everybody's doing all right tonight. Thursday night. Oh, looked at my wife earlier and I said, I feel like the weekend is almost upon me. I'm tired. Working like a dog. I'm waiting for a day off. Probably won't get one. Hope everybody's doing all right tonight. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, James. Nice to see you two in chat. I know I'm later than usual. Almost 10:30. It's very late for me, but it was a very late evening tonight. I had a lot to do this evening. My wife ordered furniture I got to put together. And didn't get a chance to put it together yet, but I had to bring it all in the house. And it just took me a long time to get in here tonight. So I hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody's looking forward to the weekend. If anybody's got any plans, you got to stay safe. Don't hurt nobody. What is this weekend? Ain't nothing special happening this weekend, is it? No. Jennifer says she has no questions. She's attending only for entertainment. So I am supposed to dance here like a monkey for her pleasure. When am I going to get a picture of this t-shirt, Jennifer? You said you bought one. I've yet to see the picture of the t-shirt. I would like to see a picture of what it looks like. I mean, I know what it is because I went and looked. I know what you bought, but I got to see this thing. I got to see what it looks like. For those that don't know, I do merch. I don't really talk about it. It's in my, I think it's in the thing below, description or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't know how this stuff works. I had a merch store a year ago, and for some reason the links weren't showing up on my YouTube, so I have no idea how this stuff works. But people like to donate. I don't know why. People like to send me money, and I'm like, at least buy a shirt or something. Get something for it. I'm just sitting here talking out of my... I enjoy this. I like sitting down here and talking to you guys about bugs and gross stuff that other people don't like to talk about. So, if anybody has a question at all tonight about bugs or rodents or millipedes... Water. Stay hydrated, always. Of course, this is what causes me in about an hour to have to get up and go pee, which I always... Let's see, we're at 5.5 minutes because it takes me a little while to get everything set up and going here. And so I'm like, yeah, it's
fresh cup of water.
Got a fresh 40-ounce cup of water. Can you die from a spider bite? Yes, you can. There are spiders that are pretty deadly. In Virginia, we have the black widow and the brown recluse. The black widow is toxic enough to cause death, but typically only kills the very young or the very elderly. Typically, people without a very good immune system are the ones that get damaged the most by a black widow, and the brown recluse causes a flesh-eating type bite. And so it actually injects a small thing underneath the skin that has to be removed. Usually surgeons have to do it, and if they can't, they have to put you on a strict regimen of antibiotics. So, but yes, you can die from a spider bite if the spider is poisonous enough. All spiders are poisonous, but they're not necessarily poison enough to hurt human beings. What do you recommend for major fly activity on the exterior of a home? So you have cluster flies, is what I'm assuming that you have. I've yet to do a video on cluster flies. That's probably what I should do. I really should do a video on cluster flies because cluster flies are something that's going to start coming in the fall. In some areas where it's cooler, we'll start to see cluster flies as early as August, but they are parasites to earthworms. So the earthworms typically in very fertile soil, which is a good thing. You know, you want fertile soil, but the cluster fly is a parasite to earthworms, and the maggot kills and eats earthworms. And so in areas where you have a lot of pasture land, you will have cluster flies. And what they do is they land on the sunny side of the house, typically whatever the southwest side is usually the side that gets the worst cluster flies. And I have a splinter in my hand. But, yeah, so the southwestern side usually gets the most of the cluster flies. And you can treat the wall with, like I said, it's a spot treatment. Most pesticides have cluster flies on the label or flies on the label, and it usually instructs a spot treatment on the exterior of the home where the flies congregate, and that will kill the flies. So, house flies, if you have house flies like inside the house, then you'd almost have to set up like a fly trap or treat around the windows, so when the fly goes to the window, it will bounce around in the window and die on the surface when it lands in the pesticide. How do you get rid of horse flies? Horse flies are something that I've never really had to deal with. That's something that usually will congregate like around swimming pools and stuff like that. They'll bite you. But there's not really a lot that can be done. There are some devices that they make that will attract horse flies, similar to like a bug zapper. James says he's prepping for a bedbug treatment currently. Never felt so exhausted mentally and physically in my life. It is a big job killing bedbugs. Now, prepping bedbugs, some exterminators, the lists are a mile long, the things that they expect you to have to do. I ought to go over that. I could do that on a stream. Yeah, Alicia. Mm-hmm. So my wife is here. For those that don't know, my wife, she's here sitting beside me on her computer playing video game probably. Are you playing video game? Maybe. Usually she plays video games. For those shops. Or shopping for something. For those that don't know, I have a Discord. A Discord link is in the description below. My wife is a admin in the Discord, and if you ever drop in and say hi, she's usually there on a video game. She likes to play games.
I just never close my video games down.
Yeah, she never closes them because she might always want to play one. But anyway, she. Do you think I would get in trouble if I pulled up a list of what people expect you to have to do on an actual website of a company and show you what they require for a prep list?
I think you could go over that, yeah, and then compare it to what we require.
Yeah. Because that's just like right spur on the moment on things they expect you to have to do, because there is a list.
Oh, it does say I'm on a video game.
It does it?
Yeah. Thank God it doesn't say Alicia's shopping for and then like post where I'm shopping at.
No, it's Discord. It's designed to put gamers together with gamers. That's what Discord began as, and I use it for other means. Let's see. Prepping for bedbug treatment. Okay, there are exterior walls and grass. Yeah, so you need to treat those areas, John. You need to treat those areas for the flies. Like I said, most pesticides are have flies on the label. You just follow the label. Well, here's the thing, Jennifer. I'm going to show the website, and everyone's going to know the name because it's on their website. That's why I don't, I'm just going to show. I'm like, well, this is what this company expects you to do in order to prep for bed bugs. They used to have it right on their front page, and I'm trying to find it. How to get your home ready for a bed bug treatment. Let's see.
I don't necessarily have to go to that one, though. Here you go.
Send it to me.
Here we go.
You could send it to me.
And this is just kind of comparing what some people go through.
So these videos that I do, where I sit here, all right? The name of the video is basically anything goes. So anything goes. Tonight, I have no plans to talk about anything at all. Nothing at all. And so I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about. So anything you guys want me to talk about, we're going to talk about it.
And it has a checklist like down at the bottom, and it's pretty extensive.
Okay. A checklist. A what? Let's see here. Okay, we'll go over this checklist together. I haven't seen this. This is what my wife has found. My son thinks he's a turtle. He's crawling behind me like you guys didn't see him at all, did you? Not at all. Nope, didn't see him again. Nope, didn't see him crawling back there. If you want to, you can rewind and check. He's like a turtle. He's just kind of right back there. Lizards are something that are very difficult to get rid of. So lizards come, they eat bugs. If you can do exterior pest control, sometimes you can cut down. Oh no, Charlie did not get the bug. Did Charlie get the bug jar opened? He did.
Yeah, he started opening it. I caught him.
But he did open it all the way.
Yeah.
My bedbug jar.
Yes.
With my live bedbugs.
Yes, so he opened the bag.
Yes.
And he pulled out the jar and he started unscrewing it, and by the time I got to him, he had pulled the lid off, but the bedbugs are thankfully in the bottom.
Okay. Yes. So he did get my bedbug jar open, Jennifer.
He can get anything open.
Should I bug bomb my car or just vacuum and spray myself? Okay, let me get back to John first, though, because he asked about lizards. Typically with lizards eat bugs. So if you can eliminate the bug problem, usually the lizards will go away. But if you just live in an area like a marshy area or an area that's just prone to lizards, you may not be able to get rid of those. I have had customers that have caught lizards on things like sticky pads and stuff like that. But that's the only way that I know people have ever actually gotten rid of any of their lizards. And I don't necessarily recommend doing that. James said, should I bug bomb my car or just vacuum and spray myself? You can kill bed bugs in your car. You could use Crossfire in your car. Crossfire is actually a higher temperature pesticide, and it is labeled to use pretty much anywhere bed bugs are, including your car if you're having problems with them in your car. What do you think about using snake away for lizards? Maybe. Snake away is mothballs. Crushed up mothballs and lime is all it is. It's cheap. It's cheap stuff. It's not the best thing. So, here is a checklist. Here is a checklist. I'm going to go over this checklist. Now, I'm going to give comeuppance. I'm going to tell who it is. It's American Pest. AmericanPest.net is where this has gotten from, because I want to give, they wrote the checklist. It's their checklist. So, I'm going to go down to the checklist. Now, they talk about prepping the room and throwing away furniture and laundering, stuff like that. But here's their prep list. It's a pretty extensive list. Number 1, wash all linens, bedding materials, clothing, stuffed animals, etc. in the highest allowable water temperature and dry on the hottest allowable heat setting. That is absolutely one of the best ways to kill bed bugs in your personal stuff, like your linens, your bedding, and your stuffed animals, because stuffed animals are something that bed bugs will get into. All laundered items such as linens, clothing, stuffed animals, etc. should be placed in new plastic bags, containers, sealed tightly, and relocated to the living room. Now, I don't know why they decided to pick the living room, because bed bugs don't just live in the living room. They don't just live in the bedroom, they live in the living room too, but this is a place they've decided to relocate the things to. All clothing items that cannot be laundered must be dry cleaned. We recommend leaving these items at the cleaners between the initial treatment and the follow-up visit. This is a problem because a lot of dry cleaners, if they see that you have bed bug spotting on your clothing, they will not take your clothing. They will not dry clean your clothes. They're not going to risk infesting the dry cleaners with your bed bugs. Also, this is not required. If you do a Crossfire treatment, this step is not required. So that's one thing on the list that you do not need to do if you are doing a Crossfire treatment, because unless you just have an excessive amount of clothing or you have bed bugs living in your clothing, there is no reason to launder your clothing if your clothing is already clean and there are no bed bugs living in your clothes. Most of the bed bug jobs that I do not have extensive bed bugs to the point where they are living in your clothes. I know people are always worried that they're in their clothes because you feel like they're everywhere. When you get a bed bug infestation, you feel like, oh, they must be everywhere. But that's absolutely not true. Most of the time they live around the bed until the population starts to explode, which usually takes about 6 months to a year to reach that point where they're actually starting to move into other places in the room, typically into your closets and maybe into your dressers, into your clothing. But that is not the most common place they like to live. The most common place is on your bed. Step 4, remove all items from closets, including any items on closet shelves. Follow the procedure above for laundering all clothing. No items should remain in the closet. Now, the reason they have this as a step is because they're planning to treat the closet and they don't want to get any pesticide residue on your clothing. And so this would be a reason you would need to remove your clothes from your closet. You do not want to leave your clothes on your bed. If you expect to get your closet treated or treat your closet and not get any pesticide residue on your clothes, because you're not supposed to treat your clothes. That's actually on the label of Crossfire. You're not allowed to treat your clothing. And so that's one reason why you would want to remove clothing from areas you think overspray or drift might get on your clothes. But it's not necessarily required. There are homes I go in all the time where the closets are extremely loaded down with all kinds of belongings, and I don't require people to move anything from the closet because I just don't treat the closet. It's a place that I don't always treat. And you're like, oh no, he missed a spot. It doesn't matter, because as long as I get the beds and the furniture where the bed bugs are going to be naturally attracted to, where you sleep, they're going to come out of the closet, they're going to come to you, and they're going to die on the bed. So that's why I don't require people to take everything out of their closet. Now, if they were to want me to treat the closet, I can usually treat around the baseboards in the closet, the quarter round in the closet. I do treat areas like that anyway, because you're not going to get drift down on clothes if you're not spraying above head. So, step 5, remove all miscellaneous items from dressers. Now, this is absolutely not required. Remove all miscellaneous items from dressers, nightstands, chests, etc., and place them in plastic bags, sealed containers, center of the living room floor. None of these items should remain in the bedroom. This is not required at all. You do not need to remove your things from your dressers or your chest of drawers when you're using a Crossfire treatment or an Alpine treatment. You do not need to do this because, like I said, for the same exact reason that you don't need to take everything out of your closet, is because the bugs are going to naturally come out and be drawn to you and die. In fact, I will tell you how many houses in the last 6 months, since the year started, it's easier because, year to date. In the last 6 months, the amount of closets I have treated where I have required people to remove their clothing are none. The amount of dressers, chest of drawers, nightstands that I have required people to pull all of their belongings out of are none. I have not required it of anyone. Last year, I had one elderly couple that had called a competitor, not this one, someone else, and they gave them this long checklist, just like what I'm reading to you here, and they took everything out of the drawers before I got there because they thought that's what I was going to require them to do. When I came in the house, I said, well, you didn't have to do that. That's a lot of work for you to do. You don't have to do that. One of the problems with bringing clothing and belongings into the living room is now it's going to make it really hard for me to flip the couch upside down. Because when I come into a house and I treat your living room, your bedroom, I'm going to turn the furniture upside down. I'm going to turn I take the bed off. Typically, the way I do it is my son and I will go in. We pick the mattress up. We slide it in and we use the door frame to hold the mattress upright. And then I take the box spring up off the off of the what is it called? The bed frame. Lean it up and treat the box spring, treat the bed frame, headboard, footboard. Okay. Then I treat all the baseboards, because now that the bed's up, a lot of the baseboards are exposed. The ones behind the bed, you can treat those. You can get rid of those. Treat those baseboards. I'm sorry, I'm tired. It's been a long day. But and then you do the bedroom, and then you go into the living room. The living room's always like the last room I treat, because I don't require that my customers leave the house until after I'm finished, or until I get to the living room, which usually the front door is in the living room. And so that way the people can kind of wait on me in there. And if I need to ask any questions about, this or that or anything, I can actually pose those questions before they leave. Or if they want to pay me later after I'm done or whatever. Sometimes they'll wait in the car outside. But the point is that if the living room is full of a bunch of junk, clothes, belongings, bunch of trash bags, it makes it very difficult for me to turn the furniture upside down in the living room. So what I do is me and my son, and we'll go and one of us will get on one corner of the couch and one of us will get on the other corner of the couch, and we'll flip it upside down, treat around the legs and the staples, and sometimes even remove the matting underneath the couch, treat inside the couch, lazy boy recliners. And if there's a bunch of stuff in the way, it's like next to impossible to do that. People have done this. People have taken their stuff out and put it all in the living room, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to flip all this stuff upside down now. And it's just really, really difficult. So I don't require people to do that at all, because it's just going to make it harder for me to do that in my job. Because honestly, the bed bugs are going to follow you to the living room. They're going to be in your couch. They're going to be in your recliners. They're going to be in your love seats. These are places bed bugs hang out because these are places you hang out. So to pile up your living room full of just stuff is going to make it a lot harder for the pest control technician to do their job. Vacuum floors, carpet, and area rugs. Use the crack and crevice attachment around the baseboards, bed frames, sofas, and other furniture items. Discard vacuum bags or contents after use. I agree with this. This is a good practice. In fact, the video that I did on car, like your automobile prep, I actually go through and vacuum. In fact, my wife watched it. She says, wow, that's really satisfying, because I cleaned her van, and I did a detail of her van, and I showed how to use the crack and crevice tool and clean all around the carpets. And that's the same thing you should do with your house. You really should vacuum your carpets and everything before you apply the pesticide. And the reason being is because a clean surface is going to adhere chemical better than a dirty surface where the dirt is going to eventually flake off and not leave any pesticide residue there. So you want to clean up all the dust and stuff around the edges of your floor, and it will suck up bed bugs and stuff like that too. And any dead bed bugs that get sucked up in a vacuum, you don't, get rid of them, throw them away. But it is better to use vacuum bags rather than a chamber vacuum. You don't want to have to use one of those cyclone type vacuums. You want to use an actual vacuum bag vacuum or a shop vac, so you can empty them fairly easily and get rid of the contents and not have to worry about remaining of bed bugs inside your vacuum cleaners. Number 7, all luggage that has been used recently, if I can get my mouse, all luggage that has been used recently during travel must remain empty so that it may be inspected and treating it. I completely agree with that. That's actually, of all these lists I've seen, and I've seen a lot of these lists because people send me these checklists, that has never been on a checklist, and that is absolutely an amazing thing to have on a list, because I treat luggage. I have customers that do all kinds of work that require travel. And so that's actually a really good thing to do. You need to be able to do that. Remove all shelves, picture frames, artwork, wall clocks, decorative items from the walls and place on the floor in the same room as they were hanging. These items must be inspected and treated if necessary. Now, I guess the reason they want you to remove the items because if they pull them off the wall that they'll break. But I have taken stuff off the wall myself. If there's a painting on the wall above a bed or, a clock or something like that I think bed bugs might be behind, then I'll take and remove it and treat it myself. I don't usually make my customers do that kind of thing. But, some exterminators would rather, I guess the liability, they would rather not be liable for things they take off your wall, and they would rather you take and put them back on the wall. So I can understand why that's there, but I don't ever require I know how to take a picture off the wall. Yeah, I'm not going to break your picture or your clock or anything. All large pieces of furniture must be pulled at least 2 feet away from the baseboards in every room of your home. They're lazy. That's lazy. That's lazy. Honestly, do they not flip the furniture upside down? That's just lazy. That's stupid. They're probably going to do a apprehend treatment, and apprehend does require that the furniture be pulled away from the wall, but I know a lot of exterminators have told me they have not required their customers to do that. Birds, cats, dogs, humans must remain out of the home during treatment and at least a minimum of 4 hours after the treatment is complete. Fish and reptile tanks must be covered or removed. Air filters and filtration systems for aquatic fish should be turned off during treatment. I agree with all of that. But I usually tell people 2 to 3 hours or until the chemical is dry, whichever is longest, because Crossfire doesn't give an actual time on their label. They just say until the surfaces are dry. Your people need to be out of the house until the surfaces are dry. And that's all. So I just say 2 to 3 hours or until it's dry, whatever's longest. All mattresses, box spring covers must be removed from the mattresses and box springs prior to our arrival unless you have previously installed an encasement that was specifically designed to control, prevent, and eliminate bed bugs. I say remove all the covers, including mattress encasements. I don't treat beds if a mattress encasement's on it. So I make them all take them off. I don't care what the label says. If the label says that the mattress encasement kills bed bugs, I really don't care because it's a joke. Just take it off of there. Number 12, remove and discard the box spring backing thin fibrous material that is stapled to the bottom of the box spring before the treatment. Now, I usually take that off myself because you don't always have to take that off, but I usually just take that off myself. Cribs, crib mattresses, and other baby furniture will be inspected and treated as needed. I do that. I tell people that too. Shoes should be placed in a new... See, now you can treat shoes with Crossfire, but shoes should be placed in new plastic bags or plastic containers sealed tightly and relocated to the living room. If shoes can tolerate a dryer cycle, first place them in the dryer on the hottest cycle for 30 minutes. No shoes should be left in the bedroom or the closet. So, actually, that is not too bad of a checklist. Other than just people being lazy, like pulling furniture away from the wall, stuff. But that will save you time as a technician, but you can get behind those things. But if you're using Apprehend, you may have to pull your furniture away from the wall. The things about the laundering linens and stuff like that, that's kind of extreme. I don't think I would go to that much to require my customer to do all of that. But overall, it's not a bad list. Who was this again? This is AmericanPest.net. That's actually not too bad. But I wouldn't make my customer go to all that. That's a lot of work. All right, so imagine this. Imagine if you're the homeowner. Now you read that checklist right alongside me. If you're the homeowner and your exterminator says we're going to have to do a bed bug treatment once every 2 weeks, like if they're going to use something like Temperate and they're requiring you to do all this prep work once every 2 weeks, you would feel like you'd have to live out of a garbage bag practically for the rest of your life. This is what it feels like because for some of these people have told me they've had a Temperate job six visits. That's 6 times in 2.5 months you've had to go through, or 2 months, you've had to go through every 2 weeks and pull everything out and pull out all your furniture. And practically at that point, you might as well just live out of a trash bag. Because you can't use your furniture because by the time you take everything out, you got to put it all back in again. You got to take it all back out again. So that's just ridiculous. I don't think that you should have to take everything out of your dressers and stuff. And this is one of the reasons that I switched and started using Crossfire because the prep list is just kind of extreme for most anybody. And I deal with a lot of disabled people. You go in their house, they're elderly, they don't have the ability to pull all their furniture away from the wall. They don't have the ability to have somebody come in and, do all their laundry for them. Yeah, that can be expensive if you don't have family that can do it for you and you've got to hire somebody to come in there and do it for you. I don't know. I just don't think it is very, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think if you're going to use Crossfire, there's no reason to do that. Philip says it left a light dust on everything. Okay, so I just use a shop vac in reverse and blow Oh my goodness, come on now. You trying to kill yourself? All right, so Philip says, let's just use this as a moment to teach. Philip says, I just use a shop vac and reverse and blew diatomaceous earth in every room in my apartment. It was too thick to see in there. I tied a t-shirt around my face so I wouldn't breathe it in because a t-shirt is pro filter. It is like, actually, honestly, you could just tie a t-shirt. The next time I go to the doctor's office and I've got a major surgery, I want my doctor to just tie a t-shirt around their face because that's the best filter in the world. That's all we need. Everybody should just start wearing t-shirts around their face.
Okay, very nice.
All right, yeah. Well, he opened himself. He said he's chatting. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm sorry. All right. It left a light dust on everything. After a few days, I haven't seen any more. I'm leaving it alone for a couple of weeks to kill the babies when they hatch. I hope they never come back. This is not a good idea. This is a really, really bad idea. It is a really bad idea. I know Philip is coming in here and he's trying to help. He's trying to give good advice. He's trying to tell people that this is what I do. This is how I control my bedbug problem, and it worked for me. This is what I try to tell people all the time about essential oils, diatomaceous earth. It's basically, this is what Bob told me down the street worked for him, and I'm going to do this myself too. This is not
It's
what
not been tested.
Do what?
It's not been tested.
It's not been tested. It's not been proven. It doesn't work. So it's really dangerous. Diatomaceous earth is diatoms and silica dioxide. That's what consists of diatomaceous earth. It's basically Cemexa with diatoms mixed in. Silicates are, sand is a silicate. So sand, you go to the beach and you build yourself a sandcastle. That's silica. All right, that's a silicate. Sand is. So a diatomaceous earth is basically pulverized silica and or silica dust and diatoms, which are microscopic crustaceans from the ocean. So what they do is they mix all this stuff together. The silica dioxide is the base, and the diatoms are like the active ingredient in diatomaceous earth. And the problem is when you breathe that in your lungs, it's like breathing in glass into your lungs. I mean, this is what we use sand for. We take sand and we melt it down and we can make glass out of it. It's not something you want to breathe into your lungs. And the reason I use sand, and sand is a very extreme, definition, but, it puts things into perspective to the person that's understanding that it is not something you want to breathe into your body. You do not want to breathe a it will cause silicosis, which is what Rumar just said. It causes silicosis, which is a lung disease. It can cause COPD, asthma, emphysema, all kinds of lung-type problems, even like mild allergies to extreme allergies. You'll sneeze and cough and hack for days if you breathe in diatomaceous earth. It is not healthy. Now, some people use it as an herbal supplement. We are not talking about orally ingesting it. The stomach is not the same organ as your lungs. They are two completely different types of organ tissue, but we do not inhale dust into our lungs. Just inhaling dust in your house. If you have a dusty house full of dust, which consists primarily of, dead skin cells, and they say you shouldn't breathe that in, that's not good for you to breathe in either. You should dust your home regularly to keep the dust out of the air, and then you're going to add something like silica to the dust. It's not safe at all. It's really, really bad for you. Oh, we got a call. So I don't have to go on my tirade anymore. Hello, this is Jason with Green Acres Pest Control. Can I help you?
Hi, this is Renee. I had a question about the baby bed bugs.
Okay.
So when they first hatch, are they going to come and bite you right away? I mean, is that what they need to do?
No.
They need, as they call, a blood meal?
No. So babies, when they first hatch out of the egg, they do not seek a blood meal right away. So bed bugs go through a what's called instars. An instar phase is when they shed their skin, and they like a snake sheds its skin. Bed bugs shed their skin when they grow larger. So what happens is the baby hatches out of its egg. It waits about 6 to 10 days to bite you for the first time. It comes out for the first blood meal. It engorges on blood, and then that helps it shed its skin, and it uses that blood over the next week to 10 days before it sheds its skin again, and it only sheds its skin after it receives another blood meal. And they do that 5 times, and that's called 5 instars. Now, after its final instar and it sheds its skin the final time, that is when it becomes a full-fledged adult, and that's when it can actually bite you and lay eggs, and it uses the blood meal to lay eggs. A female can lay up to 250 eggs in her lifetime. Some people have found them to be able to lay up to 500 eggs. If that's scary.
So, yeah, we definitely have some bed bugs. I won't get into just trying to do little different things. It started, I think, from neighbors downstairs. But the thing is that my son has gotten bitten, and he has some in his room.
Okay.
I don't think they've made it into my bedroom. But
Okay.
I sometimes wonder if I've been bitten or if they're in there. I haven't seen any. And his room is the only room we've seen them in. But I don't seem to ever have like a mark or anything. But sometimes I feel like I've gotten bitten.
Well, you might
just
have.
wondered, I mean,
Some people react
yeah.
differently. So not everyone reacts. This is one of the reasons. So I made a video about this maybe about a year or so ago about bed bug bites and how to tell you've been bitten by a bed bug. And the short answer is you really don't know unless you found the actual bug, because what bed bugs do is not everyone has the same histamine reaction. So that's what you get when you get bit by a bug, whether it's a mosquito, flea, tick, spider, or a bed bug. They're all going to cause histamine. Your body's going to say, oh, I just got bit, and sends histamine to that bite location. But not everyone's body reacts the same. In fact, bed bugs have this unique thing about them that you can have a delayed reaction from a bite. So you could get bit today and then not even have a bite show up for 2 or 3 days later. And this is one reason a lot of people will get bit when they're out of town. They'll come home 2 days later, the bites show up. And it's like, well, I must have brought bed bugs home with me. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just because you got bit when you were on vacation. You don't actually bring the bugs home with you. And there you react. And people that don't react heavily to the bites right away sometimes never react at all. And so you might be getting bit, but you're just not reacting in the same way that your son is.
Okay, I had read about that, and I've watched a lot of videos, so I do kind of understand that. The last thing I've always kind of wondered is, I have very sensitive skin as far as being able to feel even just a little piece of hair on my skin or something.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way.
So like, would I be able to feel one of them bite me? Ever? I mean, is that something?
Yeah, you can feel them. I used to have a friend of mine who he had probably one of the worst cases of bed bugs I've ever been in my life. It was really severe. And he would wake up in the middle of the night with them crawling on him because he would feel them. He would feel them come up and crawl. Before they even bit him, he would feel them. And so people with sensitive skin usually can feel them. But this guy too, he's real hairy. And, I mean, he was a really, really hairy man. And, when the hair is what really is the most sensitive part of your body. If the bed bugs are going to crawl across the hair, you're going to feel that hair settle. So, he could feel them. He could feel them. But I don't know. Really, it just, you may not feel them.
Okay, yeah, I'm not hairy. So,
Yeah.
although my son is. So one little last thing. So when they're the little tiny bed bugs and they may come and bite you, I'm always just trying to figure out if I have them in my bed or if, like I said, I'm not going to get into all the different things I've tried to do, and it's been like 2 months. But like sometimes I feel like I feel a little something on me, but I don't really see anything because I know they're so tiny and little and like.
You can see all stages of bed bugs though.
Okay.
Yeah, every
so
stage.
Normally,
the egg is the size of a third of a grain of rice. Every other stage of bed bug is larger. So if you think about it, anybody can take and cut a piece of rice into thirds, and so you just imagine it bigger. And a full-grown bed bug is the size of an apple seed.
Yeah, I have seen them. I have seen them tiny. The last question I was trying to spit out is like, sometimes I feel like I feel something, and then I look and I almost feel like I'm seeing or feeling something it sounds ridiculous, but almost like invisible. Like, is that, no? Does that sound silly?
No, that might be something else. So there are you can feel. Now, I have heard, I don't want to say that this is something that absolutely happens with everyone, but I have heard of people that have told me, and they swear, that they have felt dust mites. Now, dust mites are microscopic. You can't see them without a microscope. they live and feed in dust. This is the places they live. In fact, people that are allergic to dust mites, a lot of times will put mattress encasements on their bed because they're allergic to dust mites. And I have had people swear they can feel the dust mites crawling on them. It might just be in your head. It might be something that's real, but that's something that could be something smaller in your house. Now, mites, I do have a video on bird mites. You can feel them. You can feel them crawl on you. They're really super small. You can hardly see them, if at all, and you can feel them. I have had them on me before. I have felt them myself. I have been in bird exclusion jobs where the birds were in a chimney or they were in the side of a building, and I had to remove the nest myself, and they get all over me, and you cannot see them at all, but you can feel them crawling all over you, and it's like something... It's a horrible feeling. But so, it is possible it might be something else. I don't think it's a bed bug that you're feeling. I think it's probably something else, or maybe just the thought of having bed bugs is affecting you to where you think you feel something, but it's not. You know how if you're talking to somebody who has head lice and they're talking to you and all of a sudden you'll just start scratching your head like your head itches?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Okay, and I just wanted to thank you. You really are doing, I wish more people were listening to you all the time because you are doing the best service on YouTube.
I like having a small audience.
I listen to people.
Thank you. I like having a small audience, so I can keep up with chat when there's less people in here. But you have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Bye. Well, that was nice. So, let's see. Everybody here. Man, there's been a bunch of people talking about stuff. I just killed a bed bug on my bed today. Let's see. Silicosis is irreversible. See, now that I did not know. So that's, well, like we were talking before about inhaling diatomaceous earth. Oh, I got another call. Let's see. Everybody's calling tonight. Hello, this is Jason with Green Acres. How can I help you?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. With the Crossfire, can you spray that like on the top of an air mattress?
Yes.
Or just on like the sides?
No, you can spray it all around the air mattress.
Okay, and it's safe for the kid to lay on it with just the sheets and no mattress encasement?
Yeah.
Okay,
you have to let it dry.
I did a heat treatment. Yeah, I sprayed it like 6 hours ago.
Oh, yeah, you should be fine then. You put the sheets on and use it.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure, especially with my child.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people ask me that question. They're like, I'm going to spray my child's... Like I just read that checklist from that other exterminator, and one of the things they write out, say on there, they say, hey, we're going to treat your baby's bed. If we find that there are bed bugs on your baby's bed, we are going to treat your baby's bed because they want you to know that it's safe to use around your babies and they can sleep on the mattress. Even though it's a baby bed, it's an infant toddler bed, they want you to know that it's safe to use on the bed. So yeah, Crossfire is absolutely safe. I would use it on the beds. I have used it on my own bed. I have used it in my own house around my own children, and I would never use it if it wasn't safe for my own kids.
Yeah, I just like the videos. It usually doesn't show you like where they're spraying it, or they say on the scenes. Like I never could find if they sprayed it directly on the top because I threw my beds out, and like I said, I had a heat treatment just done 2 days ago, and then I sprayed everything last night, and then my wife is sensitive, just like the lady that you were just talking to, and she woke up last night and said, I feel something, and sure enough, it was there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they a lot of money.
I know. Oh, I know. I've got my number one video on my channel is why heat treatments don't work on bed bugs, and it's the very first video I ever did, and it's like 5 years old, but it still reigns true with heat treatments. I don't recommend doing heat treatments for the very reason that there's so many places the bed bugs can hide. And not only that, but just to talk about heat treatments for a minute, heat treatments are something that I feel like you're going to pay a lot of money for it, and you're going to get somebody in there that may not even know what they're doing. And that's one of the problems with a heat treatment is you really have to know what you're doing. And I think the general, as the pest control industry as a whole, I feel like maybe 1% actually knows how to do a heat treatment correctly, and the rest of them have no clue.
Well, yeah, technically I did it myself. I rented it, but I couldn't get anybody to actually come out and do it. I had to do it myself, and it still costs out the ass, which I had it way above the temperature they said, and I was in there like moving things around and fluffing things, as long as I could stay in there because it was so hot. I had it up to like 147, but
yeah, that's about what you have to have it to. About between 130 and 150 is what they expect you to have it to. In fact, the air temperature on the ceiling will be close to degrees like 180 degrees because heat rises, and you have to use fans and it's awful. And Crossfire absolutely will work. It will kill the bed bugs, and you don't have to go to all that. Your house isn't a cookie. We don't need to bake your house. Bake cookies, don't bake your house.
Right. Well, I didn't really realize this till after I had already done that, and then I was like, well, I think I need to get. I'm in a townhouse, so it's long story short, the neighbor freaking vacuumed up live ones and threw a bunch of beds and all of that there, and that's where they came from. So I had to try to keep them from coming through the walls. I never even knew what one was till a week ago.
Well, that's awful. Well, good luck. I hope you're able to get rid of them. I'm sure you will with Crossfire. It's really good pesticide.
Right, like I said, I used the whole thing. It was said for 1,000 square foot, and that's exactly what my place is. So I used the 13 ounces to the gallon, and like I said, I really wanted to make sure it was safe on the top of the bed mainly.
Yeah,
I sprayed all the baseboards and all that. But
yeah,
and what about like in a vehicle? Can you spray it in a vehicle just to make sure you don't take them back in or something?
Yeah, I recommend it. In fact, most of the time I will treat a vehicle for bed bugs. Sometimes even have to break up a trip into 2 trips so that the people can, because sometimes people need to use their vehicle to leave, and you can't always treat the car if they're going to be in it. And so sometimes I'll actually make a special trip out and do the vehicle one day and then do the apartment the next day. So yeah, absolutely. Trunk, running boards. It's actually really easy to treat a vehicle where the seats will clamshell shut, in the crack where the seats kind of, where the back of the seat meets the seat of the seat. Treat in that crack and around all the seat belts where they go into the chairs, and down around where the seats actually connect with the floor of the car, where they bolt onto the floor. Those are the places that bed bugs like to hide. There's a lot fewer places in a car that bed bugs can actually hide and survive than in your home. So it's a lot easier to treat.
They're mainly where you're sleeping at.
Do what?
I said, yeah, they're mainly in there where you're sleeping.
Yeah, they want to be in the house where you are. Yeah, that's right. So, well, good luck.
So about like, how does the residual, about how long does that take? I know it kills them on contact because I sprayed one with the.
It kills them within 5 minutes on contact, but as far as residual, once it's dry, it can take up to 2 to 4 hours right after it's applied, and then after a few weeks, of course, it's going to reduce down and it's not going to kill them as quickly. It still will kill them, but I only treat houses once a month. So if you're still getting bit, what I tell people is if you're getting bit after like the 3rd week, you might want to start thinking about trying to treat again, because if you figure, like I was telling her before with the life cycle of a bed bug, if it's 6 to 10 days before they get their first blood meal, but it also takes 6 to 10 days for the egg to hatch. So that's about 3 weeks for all of the life cycles to come out of their egg and actually bite you. The adults are going to be biting you. They're the ones that are going to die first. And all the nymphal stages before they become adults, they will come out periodically over the period of 3 to 4 weeks. And so I usually tell people, if you're still getting bit after like the 3rd to 4th week, that's when you want to start thinking about retreating. So just be patient.
Yeah,
it does take patience. It's really aggravating, but it does take patience.
Yeah, I mean, I've only gotten one bite since the heat treatment. Like I said, I only really did that because everybody was saying that was the only thing that kills the eggs. That the sprays don't kill the eggs, until I discovered the Crossfire, obviously.
Well, now Crossfire, I will tell you, the Crossfire label will claim that it kills eggs, but it doesn't. It only kills the eggs in the female if the female dies before she's laid her eggs. So some bugs, like cockroaches, can actually die and their eggs still hatch. Even though the eggs haven't been dropped off of the female, the eggs will still hatch. But bed bugs are not that way, in that if you kill the female before she's laid her eggs are no longer viable. So that is how Crossfire can get away with putting on the label that it kills all stages, even the eggs. It does not kill the eggs if the eggs have already been laid. It only kills the eggs before they were laid. You get it? It's borderline false advertising. Borderline, but not quite.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I wish I would. I always thought it was a joke, just telling your kids,
Oh yeah, sleep tight, don't let bedbugs bite.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. I'll let you.
No problem. You have a great night.
Thank you.
All
You too.
Yeah, sleep tight, don't let the bedbugs bite. I say that usually at the end of every one of my shows. Let's see. If I had one wish, it would be that bedbugs wouldn't exist. I was telling a customer that just the other day. I said, I really don't care. Bedbugs, that's something that would be fine if just ceased to exist. I'm always worried I'm going to bring them home. I'll call my wife. I call her ahead. Like if I get into a job, like if you ever watch my TikTok, I've got videos on there of, just extremely bad bedbug jobs that I have had to do. And I will call my wife ahead of time on my way home from the job. Typically, if I do a really bad job like that, I won't go to anyone else's house. I will just come straight home. I come in through the basement door. I strip down at the door. I'm not allowed to come in the house. I tell her, hey, make sure the washing machine is empty. I've got to put all of my clothes in the washing machine. Me and my son both will strip down in the room, take everything, put it directly in the wash, start the wash on high heat water, and then we'll dry them all. And I typically don't dry my uniform shirts because they're embroidered, and so it'll mess up the embroidery sometimes and make it kind of tight. That's the only time I dry my uniform shirts. Otherwise, I hang dry them. So, yeah. It's... they're a pain. They really are. I don't want to... I mean, I've got them. I think she hid the jar because Charlie tried to get into my bedbug jar, but I have a jar of bedbugs here just for live streams specifically so I can show you guys what they look like. But yeah, he got into it. I have a 2.5-year-old. He'll be 3 in October. He's gotten so he gets into everything, and opens everything. So yeah, she had to hide it from him.
He wants to know how it works.
Yeah, he wants to know how it works, exactly. So 30% of the population doesn't react. So one time I did a house where the guy was sleeping on a queen size bed and he was being eaten alive by bed bugs. And he didn't have a single bite on his body at all. And the only way they knew they even had the bed bugs were because his aunt came to stay with them when they were closed. They were doing all the closing stuff on her house that she was building, getting everything ready. And so she had to be like locally around, so she stayed with her family, and the bed bugs started biting her, and she started to react from the bites. They had no idea they had bed bugs, and when I flipped that box spring and that mattress up, boy, there were thousands in that bed. There were so many bed bugs, but he wasn't reacting. So not everyone reacts from bed bug bites. In fact, I did a house just down the street from where I live, and she had bed bugs on her bed, but neither of them had bites at all. But the little boy that would come in every so often, like in the middle of the night, have a nightmare or something, and jump into bed with his parents, he was getting bites on him, and the bed bugs started living on his bed and biting him. But the adults never had a bite, never had them, and their bed was infested. So you can turn a blind eye to a roach or maybe even a mouse, but bed bugs are something you can't live with. Can bird mites bite? Yes, they can. They can, and they're miserable. James Martin says, do centipedes hunt bed bugs? I don't know. Maybe. I know they kill other bugs. Kind of like spiders. Centipedes eat bugs. I sprayed Alpine WSG all around my room. All right, now you're not supposed to spray your mattress with Alpine, but you can spray your box spring with it. It lasts 30 to 60 days. That's the lifetime of Alpine WSG. Let's see. Is it normal to have a single bite 4 or 5 days after applying Crossfire? Yes, it is. It's absolutely possible to have a bite after applying Crossfire because Crossfire is a non-repellent, so the bed bugs still behave like they normally would, and if it takes them 2 to 4 hours to die after the pesticide is applied, then they can absolutely come up and bite you because they only feed typically between 2 and 4 in the morning. So, yeah, they do have enough time to come out, bite you, and get away, and you may not even find the bed bug except you move your bed later and find dead ones underneath it. So, Alpine does work, but it doesn't work as good as Crossfire, but it does work. It does kill bed bugs. They have developed an immunity to it, and they're starting to develop immunities to it, like resistance to the pesticide. But as of right now, I've used it. It still does work for me. How hard is it to find someone local who uses Crossfire? And do you ever spray your own house as a preventative measure? Yes, I spray my house all the time. In fact, my wife, I had to put her on my list as a regular pest control customer, and she's due for treatment, Monday? I think it's Monday. Once a month, I come and I treat my own house preventatively. And it can be rather hard to find someone local who uses Crossfire. You just have to call around, look for small companies. How many eggs do bed bugs lay at once? About 2 to 5 clustered, usually. They can inseminate. They typically have to be inseminated once every 8 weeks. And the female, every time she gets a blood meal, she will lay eggs. So, yeah. So she doesn't have to, do the hanky-panky with the male every day, just once every 8 weeks. And then she will have enough to last her for 8 full weeks to lay eggs. Caveman, at least mosquitoes feed frogs and birds, so I don't mind so much. Bed bugs are just useless. Actually, mosquitoes are one of the top pollinators. The male mosquito does not bite humans. It feeds on nectar from plants, and so they are actually pollinators. So mosquitoes, and the females will also feed on the nectar of plants, and she only takes a blood meal when she needs to lay eggs. So they are actually really, really excellent pollinators, much like a hummingbird or something. They come in and they drink the nectar like a butterfly. Deli, I'm happy to announce that I am now bedbug free after 6 years of having them. I moved to a new home and no longer have bedbugs. I sprayed Alpine WSG all around my room and bed. Does it last a long time? Okay, so you had just repeated the question that you set up there, and I think I answered your question. I've been getting bitten, and not only are they itchy, but it feels like a burning sensation as if it were an ant. And I'm getting bitten on my foot and hands, not back or neck like I've been said. Okay. Yeah, I have a customer of mine that got bed bugs bites, and they hurt so bad that she had to use ice packs to make the swelling go down. Let's see. Chaos Omen says that when they began living with their husband, that he didn't react to them at all. And that's normal. Yeah, that happens. Playboy says, I already sprayed my bed with Alpine WSG. That's why it's important to read your labels. You really need to read the label before you go and apply a pesticide. In fact, honestly, Crossfire is a great pesticide for bed bugs. Alpine's a good pesticide for bed bugs and ants and roaches. If you're considering doing your own pest control, you need to read the label first. Now, all the pesticides that I list, I use in my own business, but I know the label. I read all the labels. In fact, Samari, the newest pesticide that I bought, I read the label before I bought it because I wanted to know if it was something I actually wanted to use or not. You should always read your label before even purchasing a pesticide to make sure you know what you're going to do and if you're even going to be able to apply it the way they say you should. Because one thing, let's say you order a pesticide and you don't know that you need like a gallon sprayer, and you get it, Amazon package arrives, you're like, oh boy, let's go spray some bugs. And then you realize, oh, I don't have a gallon sprayer. At least this way you can be prepared for what you need. Thank you so much. Your videos are the only things that have given me peace of mind. After watching your videos about Crossfire, I immediately bought it. The difference was immediately noticeable. Yeah, it's great. I love the stuff. I sprayed Crossfire improperly all over my carpet. What would you suggest me to do to clean the chemical out of my carpet? Just shampoo the carpets. You just shampoo the carpets, will take it out. Let's see. Caveman. I've been free since last Christmas. I know what a relief it can be. James says, I really appreciate your advice. Kanye says, how do bedbug immunity develop resistance to pesticides? So there are several different ways bugs can develop immunity to pesticides. And it's basically what we do. So what we're doing, we're creating an immune bug. There are... All right, let's use this as an example. You go into a house, there's 100 cockroaches. You kill 80% of the roaches with the pesticide that you have mixed. The 20% that don't die are immune. How? All right, they either have a thicker exoskeleton, so some bugs are born with thicker skin, so to speak. And so they don't absorb the chemical as quickly as other bugs do, and some don't absorb it at all. And so these bugs are naturally immune to certain pesticides that have to absorb through their exoskeleton to kill them. And so that's one way. So when you kill all of the bugs that have a thinner exoskeleton, then you are inherently selectively breeding bugs that have a thicker exoskeletons, because they're going to pass that gene on to their babies. So the babies are going to have, it's a possibility that the babies will have a thinner exoskeleton, but most of them will have the gene of the thicker exoskeleton, because this is what their parents have. So that's one way. Another way is that they're just born genetically immune to a certain pesticide. Like when they come out of the egg, there's some chemicals they're already immune to. Just like a person can be born with an allergy to peanuts. Not everyone has an allergy to eggs or peanuts or wheat or gluten or anything like that. But not everybody does, but some people do. So not every bed bug that comes out of an egg or is born is going to be immune to your pesticide, but some of them might be. And also, if you use a weaker dose pesticide on an insect, and it doesn't actually kill the insect, and it passes on to the babies that, hey, this is something that I've been in contact with, they can actually pass that immunity on to their young. And within 90 days, with cockroaches especially, within 90 days, using a weaker pesticide will actually breed a chemically immune roach. It's like they adapt to the pesticide, and they change genetically to be resistant to the chemical. So those are the top three ways that bugs can actually be immune to a chemical. So that was a good question. I don't get that question very often. Does Crossfire work on New York and Ohio strains of chemical-resistant bedbugs? Yes, actually, Crossfire is designed to work on pyrethroid-resistant bedbugs, because pyrethroids are what the bedbugs have started to develop immunity to, and that's why they had to invent Crossfire to deal with pyrethroid-resistant bedbugs. Let's see. Some of my bites would burn first, then itch. Okay, after I get cleaning done by a pro, should I do a weekly or monthly spraying so the bedbugs won't return? So I actually offer, with my business, a monthly pest control plan to help prevent bedbugs, an actual preventative bedbug plan, where I go through and I treat the room and the apartment or the house or whatever for bedbugs. The only thing I don't do I don't strip the beds all the way down to bare mattress and box spring and everything like you normally would with a bedbug job. And I treat all the legs of the beds and the legs of the couches and stuff that I normally would not do in a general pest control, because general pest control, you're typically treating cracks and crevices around the baseboards, places that the bugs are going to crawl, spiders, ants, crickets. In fact, you may not even do the inside. You may only do the outside. But the inside is really required to get rid of a bedbug problem. And so this way, if someone is like a traveler, or maybe they work in healthcare, or they're a school bus driver, and they're at this higher risk level of bringing bedbugs into their home already has a barrier in place so that if they bring the bedbugs in, they can't survive and they die. So you can absolutely do a preventative for bedbugs in your home. In fact, I recommend monthly pest control, at least just for general pest control, because a lot of your general pest control products will kill bedbugs. And so as long as you have something down in the house, if you do bring bedbugs in, they don't develop a foothold. They can't actually grab hold in the house. And two, you're coming regularly once a month, and you're going to notice it. You're going to catch them early on before they become this thing where you flip the bed and you're like, wow, there's thousands of them. It never reaches that point because you're eliminating them before they can get to that point. And it's it's a lot cheaper than a bed bug elimination. Absolutely cheaper. Because it's a lot of work to eliminate bed bugs. And that's what you're paying for. When you pay for a pest control technician to come into your house, you're paying for that person's labor, their time, and whether it's a heat treatment or a chemical treatment or whatever it is, it takes time to get rid of bed bugs. It's not something that just happens in 10 or 15 minutes. It sometimes takes hours to do a bed bug job, and that's expensive. I will be right back. Like I said, it's been an hour. I told you, an hour. It's been an hour and 7 minutes. Now I gotta go use the bathroom because I drink too much water. I will be right back. Sorry about that. I told you it was going to happen. I got to block my camera because my wife is going to be... She don't like to be on camera. So I got to put my head in the way so nobody sees her. She's like, don't let them see me. Don't let them see me.
Well,
now she's sitting down.
I know my makeup's done or nothing.
All right, so let's see here. We've got... They say fruit bat. Yeah, fruit bats. Bats actually pollinate a lot of things. Chaos Omen, bites are horrible. You should try this stuff called Chigorex. Chigorex is actually really good for bites. It's one of the things I recommend for like chigger bites and mosquito bites and all kinds of things.
Oh, that's just the best.
Yeah, it's good. This is my second time getting bed bugs. I had to pay $500 to get rid of them, and it did. And then 2 years later, I got them again. And now I'm trying to get rid of them with WSG. Let's see. Justin says, I have a wooden bed frame, and I saw the bed bugs in the places where the wood met, so I sprayed a whole bunch. I sprayed the whole bed with Crossfire and used a paintbrush to apply it to the cracks. Do you think I've done enough? That's a good thing, but you need to treat your baseboards, and you need to treat... your couches and stuff too. I would recommend you do that because you will transfer the bugs on your person to these other places in the house. I just think it's a good idea. I mean, you might get rid of them. You might get rid of them just doing that. That might be enough. But like I said, yeah, I always do the whole thing. In fact, I've turned away jobs because people were like, well, I would rather you just do the one bedroom. Oh, no one ever sleeps in the guest bedroom. We don't need you to treat that room. And I'm like, well, I just don't need to do the job because I have to put my name on it and I want to make sure that the job's done right. And this is the way you do it to do it right. So, I do everything. A week ago, me and my dad checked our couch and it was loaded with bed bugs. Kill them with mildew and bleach. Wait a minute. Threw the couch away. I don't think I understand what that is. You should never use bleach as a pesticide. It's dangerous. Caveman says, sometimes I find it's best to get rid of these things as much as we're attached to them because that's where they hide and breed. So like sofas and stuff like that. The biggest problem with doing a home or treating a home and requiring that your customer throw away their furniture, one thing is they're already paying you to treat their house for bed bugs, and treating bed bugs is not cheap. On top of that, you have to pay to replace all of your furniture, and it gets really, really expensive. And you can absolutely kill the bed bugs in these pieces of furniture. You can eliminate the bed bugs in the furniture. You can even clean the droppings off of the furniture. The bed bug poop stains and stuff. That stuff comes off. You can clean that stuff off. You get a steamer, and you can absolutely steam clean your furniture and remove most, if not all, of the staining created by bed bugs. You can spray it with peroxide. Peroxide eats blood stains, and that's typically what you have with bed bugs. That's what their droppings are, human blood. And so typically using a peroxide or something like that to clean with is you can absolutely get rid of the bed bugs in your furniture. You gave me relief. I have been so worried because I assumed I exposed my family and baby to the chemicals, so I already shampooed the entire house, and 2 more weeks I do it again. Okay, so the label of Crossfire will tell you where to treat, and it will specifically state on the label not to broadcast apply, which means you don't spray the whole floor. All right, this is one of the reasons you don't spray the floor for bed bugs. People will say, well, I have a hardwood floor. There are cracks in the floor. Don't I need to spray those cracks? No, you don't. The reason you don't, and the reason the bed bugs will not be there, is because bed bugs don't like to live in heavy trafficked areas. So when you walk through your bedroom, the bed, the path that you travel is not going to have bed bugs in it. They don't like the vibration. They don't like to feel you move through the room. If you move through your living room and you've got hardwood floors, the bed bugs are not going to be in those areas because they don't like to feel the vibration. In fact, the first thing that happens when you drop a bed bug on the floor, it's going to go to the baseboard, or it's going to go to a leg of a couch or a bed, and it's going to climb up to try to get off of the floor. It's like that game you used to play as a kid, The Floor is Made of Lava. When you jump in the floor and your friend says, hey, the floor is made of lava, you jump out of the floor. You try to get up off the floor as quickly as possible, and that's what the bed bug is going to do. The bed bug is going to try to get away from the vibration in the places that you're traveling. They don't want to be in the floor. Alpine WSG lasts for up to 60 days, but it's typically 30 to 60 days. So it will start to lose its effectiveness up to the 30-day mark and even up to 60 days. And by the 60-day mark, it's probably not really going to kill much of anything. So it's about 30 to 60-day residual on Alpine WSG. Crossfire is 30 days. So it doesn't last as long as Alpine. But I have had people tell me that Crossfire actually can last for months. But the label says 30 days, and I just go with the label. How long do you have to wait to be able to sleep on a bed frame, mattress, etc. that I've sprayed with Crossfire? So if I treated your house, let's say at 8 o'clock this morning, and lunchtime comes around and the bed is dry, you can put your sheets on it, you can take a nap. You can sleep, you can have a nap at 1 o'clock, whatever, however long it takes you to make your bed. As long as it's dry, put your sheets on the bed, pillows, everything, jump on the bed, take a nap. You can sleep on it that night. If you treated the house, after lunch and you wanted to take, sleep on it like 8, 9 o'clock that night, you can. I tell people give it 2-3 hours, or until it's dry, whatever's longest. They don't want to be disturbed while they're sleeping. How ironic. Well, bed bugs just don't like the vibration. They don't like to feel things moving around them. They like to stay hidden away, which is one of the reasons they come out between 2 and 4 in the morning, is because that's when you're dead asleep. When you reach that moment where you are just completely dead to the world, you are just knocked out, sleep, just completely asleep, The bed bugs can come up, they can bite you. See, bed bugs get very clumsy when they start to feed. And so what they'll do is they'll bite you and they'll fall off. And they'll bite you and they'll fall off. And they'll bite you and then they'll fall off. And that can be kind of annoying if you're awake and you're conscious of what's going on. And this is why people with a light sleep, people that have, real light sleep patterns can feel the bed bugs come out because they're not all the way asleep. Where most people are, some people aren't. Good night, Jennifer. You have a good night. Thank you for showing up. And like you do every Thursday night, you're always here, no matter how late I get started. I'm sorry about getting on so late tonight. Chaos Omen says, is there anything furniture-wise that you think is a bad idea to have overall that is difficult to remove bed bugs from? Yes. So one piece of furniture that is very difficult to remove bed bugs from is a electric reclining sofa. So those recliner sofas, especially the ones with the armrest in the middle that kind of opens and shuts, you can like put remotes and stuff in, those are very difficult. Not only are they really flippin' heavy, they're just like beasts to turn over, they're full of all kinds of robotics and electrical components, and some of these things can't actually be treated because they're electrical. And not only that, it's just all of the different mechanisms that make them. I mean, a lazy boy is hard to treat as it is, just because there's so many boxes that are upholstered that go together to make an actual chair. The recliner sofa is just so much more. And the electric one, where you push the button and it goes, and you know what I'm talking about. They're a pain. They are a pain. Would you recommend to leave the bed skirts off? Yes, I would. If you have a dust ruffle or a bed skirt, remove that and don't put it back on until you know the bed bugs are dead. In fact, you should launder those because you can wash those. Can you explain to me how Alpine WSG kills a bed bug? Do they eat the little seeds? Okay, so Alpine WSG is a water-soluble granule that dissolves in water. So you have to actually dissolve it in water, and it dissolves, and it becomes a chemical. Just like if you take Comet and put it, in your toilet bowl, it'll dissolve in toilet water. The Alpine WSG also dissolves in water, and so it becomes a pesticide. And what happens is they crawl through it, it absorbs through their exoskeleton and kills them through a neurotoxin. It's a neurotoxin that kills them. If they're bed bugs in one room, how long does it take to go to another room? Just overnight. They can move from one room to another. Typically, they try to claim that bed bugs won't move more than 20 feet, but I have seen them move from one side of a house all the way to the other, whether they were transported on a person, but they do. They do move throughout the house. They're perfectly happy living in a room with a host, though. So if you're in the bedroom and they're feeding on you, they're not going to want to move away from you. But if you pick up and move to the couch, start sleeping on the couch, they will eventually find you on the couch and start living on the couch as well. Because you're what they're feeding on. So, I have a closet down a hall from my bedroom that has clothes hanging and a plastic tub with clothes. I treated the baseboards there. Do I also need to take down all of my clothes and wash them? No. Oh, excuse me. So, with that, I am going to head to bed myself. I am exhausted. I have had a full day. I am ready for the weekend to come here. Y'all have a great weekend. I hope y'all enjoy yourselves. I am in the process of working on a video for Tuesday. I haven't gotten one up yet. Usually I have one uploaded already, ready to go, but I'll see how things go if I can get one up by Tuesday. But for those that haven't already liked the video, so other people will see this and I can help other people, not just you guys in chat. And I will talk to you next week, Thursday night, after 9:30, or whenever the kids go to bed. I will be here. Y'all have a great night. Really appreciate it, and I will talk to you later. Bye.